Hello, my angels, and welcome to Angel Baby Speaking, where I am here to help you receive all of your heart's desires and more. This video today was inspired from my own experiences working with the law of assumption and how to actually change the story that you have been telling yourself. Now, my intention for this video is if you feel like you have tried absolutely everything and you still are not receiving what it is that you want, I am here to help you finally achieve these things. Now, for just a little backstory on me, I fell in the loophole trap of robotically affirming, trying any and every challenge. I even used to sleep blasting affirmations on my computer, phone, and TV. Yes, all at the same time. Thinking that by some miracle, my manifestations would just fall into my lap if I just maybe persisted hard enough. Now, while this may work for others, I feel there is a very hard line that you have to draw with yourself because those types of techniques really pushed me to be even further away from myself. I was genuinely spending my entire day in anxiety. I was in a constant battle between my mind and my emotions and not ever truly being able to live in the present moment because I was so scared to sabotage my manifestation. But what I wasn't realizing is that while I was receiving hot and cold with everything, I had the mentality to just keep persisting and that I wasn't persisting hard enough. I even went and did a couple coaching sessions, and everyone was just telling me, girl, you just got to know it. You just got to be that girl. You just got to embody the state. It's just a decision. And I honestly had no idea what that even looked like or what that felt like because I had such an attachment to my fears without realizing it. Now, the only reason why your manifestation is not here is because of your attachment to the fear based outcome. I was so opposed to doing this work or even being able to integrate the shadow work aspect because of how much trust I was really seriously putting into people that had never even undergone my same experiences. Now, a lot of people, myself included, are immediately turned off by the word healing. It just takes too long. I don't have to actually go back and fix anything. Healing means I'm broken or that there's something wrong, or I just want to get my stuff. Other people have done this and they do it just fine. So, if that is the case for you, okay. But this video is for those who have tried the other things and they still aren't getting the results, just like I wasn't. This is your missing link. Okay. Healing is a very simple process, and I am here to show you how easy it truly is so that you can get exactly what you want. Now, I fell down the rabbit hole of doing all kinds of healing only to just keep having another circumstance pop up, another memory, another aspect to heal. And I really fell into that trap unconsciously of being unhealed and not being healed enough to receive what I was asking for. And I wasn't making sense because of my journey. I couldn't help but think that there was something wrong with me. And I ended up a dramatic, frustrated, or crying mess daily because I just felt like there was something I was missing. So when I tell you guys, I have tried it all, I have studied it all so that you genuinely do not have to. That is my main goal for you today. So after getting an NLP and doing lots of research on the mind body connection, I had to understand that the only reason I am in this situation today is because of where it all started. These circumstances all cultivated from me. I could spend hours saturating this new story with barely scratching the surface without willing to actually understand that it has to start at the root. So, in order to break the pattern or the cycle, you have to shine awareness on where it all began. So, I'm going to break this down for you in a very, very simple format so that you can get your manifestations in a very simple, easy way without having to undergo all of the other challenges that I did. So, from the time that you are in the womb until 7, you are developing the subconscious mind. You're being impressed by your caretakers. So, your mom, your dad, your grandparents, TV, the media, music, teachers, society, all of these influences are all going into your subconscious mind. Now, the subconscious mind is just like a machine. Whatever you are inputting, it has to receive it. It can never reject anything you are giving it. Its only job is to accept what it is being given. So if you are being told you are not good enough, your subconscious mind has to accept that. Let's say you just ate the last piece of gum, and here comes your little sister asking for a piece. And when telling her no, she goes, grabs your mom, and your mom calls you selfish and gets angry because you just took the last of something without there being enough to share. So now you just associated giving yourself something with a new narrative that if you get something and someone else does not, you are selfish. So now this is how the story and the narrative developed around that specific thing. Your subconscious mind is responsible for your emotions. When you feel an intense emotion being activated, or what you have probably heard it being referred to as a trigger, it is because there is a story being told that does not resonate with your divine truth and being. So, by becoming aware of what it is we are actually feeling, we can now see what is actually happening on a deeper level within the subconscious mind. Now, once that has taken place from 0 to 7, now you're turning 8. This is when things change because now you have the ability to filter out these things and you can either agree or disagree that these things are true. This is what we call the conscious mind. Now, based on your trauma, experiences, and wounds that are within the subconscious mind, this now alters the efficiency of being able to actually reject or accept the information coming to you, because the subconscious mind has already taken all those beliefs, all those feelings of not feeling good enough or worthy or being selfish or whatever it was. It's now stored in that database. So if you already were carrying these feelings and experiences, let's say you're in class and someone tells you they really want this role in the school play and they're going to get it over you. You will be resonating with that on a subconscious level, even though you have the ability to no longer resonate with that thing any longer. Your subconscious mind dictates everything. So this now causes emotions to stir up, and then we have to take actions based on those things, and that is what will create your reality each and every single time. This is why we say your reality is simply your mirror. Because this is the part that I wanted to skip over. I wanted to go to the end. I wanted to take the shortcuts versus just sitting with myself and seeing, why is this thing really bothering me? Why is this actually affecting me so much? So, by practicing the law, we know that every single thing comes from within. These circumstances don't just happen by chance, they are going to be very specific. And when I say very specific, I mean very specific to you and your own consciousness, because in the end, that is all you are experiencing. So, in order to really create the reality you want to experience, you understand as within, so without, because nothing can ever truly precede you. You have to turn inwardly and understand the root causes. Why are you telling yourself these things in the first place? Where are these things actually stemming from that are developing these reactions and these circumstances in my reality? And as we know, one of Neville's most well known quotes that I absolutely love is, change your conception of yourself, and you will automatically change the world in which you live. Do not try to change people, they are only messengers telling you who you are. Revalue yourself, and they will confirm the change. This took me the longest time to grasp. I reread that quote, I think, about 1,000 times, and then it finally clicked that by doing this work, I can finally understand exactly what he is meaning, because your perception of your reality is what influences your point of view. You have to understand that your perception of something is the way that you filter in information through your senses. So, how you are viewing life at whole is your perception. You also develop a point of view or a perspective, which is how you go about understanding and interpreting what this experience means about yourself. These are both formed by our beliefs in our subconscious mind. So, as we talked about, the development of the mind, it is very important to understand that beliefs are formed in one of two ways, which is either through repetition, so something that you are repeatedly learning, seeing, or doing, or through a significant emotional experience. So once we have this belief established, the subconscious mind is at work automatically to only allow us to view and feel from this one lens, okay? Because this experience now enables us to create a story that we are telling ourselves over and over and over again because of these things that have happened. We have now been telling ourselves on an unconscious level, see, you're just not good enough. You're not deserving. You're incapable. There's just something wrong with you. And you've been questioning it and you've been saying it to yourself. But because of that, this is now where the self concept aspect really comes into play. Because this conception you have of self is based off of all the stories that you've been telling yourself. And these were only allowed to come from past experiences only because of how that version of you perceived it. But without this awareness of the root or where it's even stemming from, you find yourself stuck in the same patterns and the same cycles, regardless if circumstances are different, or regardless if you change partners, or if you change careers, location, friend group, anything external that you can change. The circumstances don't matter. That's why you never hear, or you always hear us say that circumstances never matter, because there's only one common denominator, and it's you. And it's you. It's the stories that you've now built up on and that you now believe to be true about yourself. Your reality will conform to match the exact self concept that you have of yourself. No matter how distorted or warped it may be, your reality has no choice but to reflect it. Now, the only thing is it is happening on a level that we are unaware of. So that's why people say, hidden beliefs, or it's below the surface, or the shadow work, because you just have to shine your awareness on these shadow aspects. So now you're in a cycle where you feel you just can't catch a break. And reality is still proving to you that you are still less than, or you're not good enough, or you're never going to get what you want, or any of the beliefs that you're carrying. It has to keep reflecting. But it's not because you can't get what you want. It's not because you're the exception. It's not because you have all these things wrong with you. It's just because you were unaware of what unconsciously you have been telling yourself up to this point. Now, the missing key to this is changing the story. But the part most people skip is you have to go back and change that exact perspective that caused these stories to even be active in the first place. You have to sit down and understand, I just had a warped perception of these events, and now I am going back and I'm correcting it so I can easily now believe in my truth. So let's say you're a single mom, you're 45 years old, and you have a reoccurring pattern of failed relationships, and you are just so frustrated. You just cannot understand why this is happening. Well, when you were 9 years old and your dad got caught cheating and your parents divorced, and you were left feeling abandoned and not good enough and less than because of your father's actions, this is your 9-year-old self's perspective that it developed, and subconsciously it became your self concept. And we are now aware of the cycles of what perspectives can lead to. So, because of this, you are using whatever affirmations or techniques of your choice to fulfill that 9-year-old that is still very much so active within you. You are now just shining awareness on how you are feeling and what you made this mean about yourself throughout this whole process. And this is where you have to take that accountability. It's not blame. You're not being frustrated or angry with yourself anymore. You're just taking accountability of seeing the role you played in developing these perspectives. So you're dropping the blame of yourself and others and the situation and just looking at it as this was the only perspective I was taking in. This will allow you to make the meaning that your trauma is greater than you, or your circumstances are just making you so powerless. This is not the truth. You're just simply shifting what you made these things mean about you and the way that your life is going to play out because of them. So you ask yourself, what did this teach me? What would I have done differently? So if you could go back in time right now, what would you have maybe said or done differently? But most importantly, what would you have maybe said or done differently to and for yourself? So if you have a belief that maybe hard work has to equate to success, because this is something that I see all the time, anytime you do not put in what you believe to be hard work, you are now going to interpret any sense of failure as a product of not trying hard enough, and you're going to overextend yourself. And this was even a route that I saw stemmed within myself, because if I wouldn't win a certain dance competition, that meant even though I was doing hours of conditioning and practicing all hours of the night, maybe if I just put in a little bit more hard work, maybe if I just skipped an hour of sleep that night, or I just tried harder on this technique, or I went a little bit harder in my conditioning, I would have won it. But by challenging my old belief system from that root, I can now perceive those things very differently. So, what did that version of me actually need to hear? What did she actually need to receive in those moments? That is what I will give to myself now through whatever method I choose, because I am just affirming to that version so I can release the belief, because she had a warped perception. And it is my job to make sure that version of me shifts so that I no longer have that resistance when I want to choose to form this new belief. When I want to choose to say, I don't actually have to work hard, my life can be of something of ease, I'm not going to have that resistance coming up. And this is honestly a common root that I see stemming in a lot of people. And like I said, myself included, because I really used to think, if I do not have my manifestation, then I'm just not working hard enough. So I would punish myself in a way where I would overwork myself by affirming for hours and hours and hours, or just doing different methods. I genuinely would not hang out with people because I would just think to myself, well, I could be persisting or I could be doing XYZ. And I really would run into a burnout thinking, well, I'm just not working hard enough. Or instead of just getting to the root of why I really am making myself isolate and overwork, I would just kept doing this. And I was in a cycle of constant burnout, because your mind is a muscle. The same way that you want to achieve the body that you want in the gym, if you went and worked out for hours and hours and hours, imagine the exhaustion you're putting on your body. And I've been there. It's not sustainable. So why would you do the same thing to your mind when it's the same thing? It's just a muscle as well. And it can really all be so simple. There's no need to keep overextending and exhausting yourself for no reason, because this is how you can actually get into the flow of just making a decision, or simply deciding this is who you are, or deciding you're getting this manifestation, because you're no longer going to have any of those opposing perspectives or stories to come back up why it can't happen. And this is how you truly get rid of your resistance. So let's say there is a version of you that is actually in a very happy, healthy relationship. And there's a version of you that is single and really wants this relationship. Now, the only difference between each of these versions is just the self concept of you. That is just your experiences and your perspectives. So when we say what you want wants you, and it always has, you're just dissolving the distance and you're shifting any perspective that said anything different. That's the only thing standing in the way between you and what you want. So I want you to ask yourself, why do I feel like this is so hard for me to receive? Because the only thing ultimately standing in the way is doubt and fear from your past experiences. So you could affirm, And you could persist in all of these new stories until you are black and blue in the face, maybe getting partial manifestations, maybe getting exactly what you asked for, but you're still having continuous anxiety and fears and doubts pop up that you were constantly fighting off. And if you are not able to fully accept the new story, this is where you go back to the version of you that is not allowing it. And that's why it's so hard to maintain your state. That's why it's so hard to maintain these manifestations, because you're still having that fear pop up. So, what are all the things that you ever needed to hear? That's why your affirmations need to be specific to you, because it's what 8-year-old you needed. It's what 21-year-old you needed. Maybe even the person you were yesterday. Maybe it's what they needed to hear. What would you say to that version of you? Because you can now realize all of the things that you ever needed to hear, you ever needed to know, is that you are loved, you are worthy, you're safe, you're capable, you're enough, you can do this, you're always going to be okay, everything's working out. You don't need a single drop of anyone's approval or anyone else's validation besides your own, especially knowing the law now and knowing it's all cultivated from you. Those are the things that you say to your past version, and those are the same exact things your future version is genuinely telling you and believing right now. Okay, everything that happens to you is a reflection of what you believe about yourself. We cannot outperform our level of self esteem. We cannot draw to ourselves more than we think we are worth. Ilana Van Zant said that so perfectly, because you cannot outperform your self concept. So, how you see yourself, you can never be above that. I can walk you guys to the door, but you have to walk through it yourself. So, you may have written the script, you may know exactly who you want to be, but it is up to you and you alone to go within and know how to cultivate this. So, what is it that that version of you that is holding you back genuinely needed to know? And if you need any further help or guidance with this, I do provide one-on-one coaching. I offer text message coaching and one-on-one calls. I'm also in the process of making a really amazing course for you guys, and I have self-guided meditations. You guys can check out my TikTok or my Instagram linked below for more help. And I would love any suggestions on any topics that you would like for me to touch. I just really want you to know that this work is not as complicated as it seems. And my goal for you is, if you feel you have tried absolutely everything, this is genuinely the missing key piece. And it's so much easier than you think. So until next time, my angels.